Hey everyone, welcome out to the 5th episode special of the Rapid Fire Roundups. We would like to give you a limited time offer for the next 20 minutes. You can purchase on 7 Daewoo quality VHS tapes the complete collection of all the Rapid Fire Roundups. If this is something that you'd love to own, you can send it in simply 3 easy payments of $19.95 and 1 fairly difficult payment of 17 Norwegian krones. If that sounds like a great deal, well it is. But you don't have to just take my word for it, you could take my word for it. Wow! Thanks for coming, Professor. I'm doing great, thank you for asking. That sounds awesome. Why don't you tell the folks how good of a deal this is? Yes, I have a PhD in good deals, and I can affirm to you with 95% accuracy that this is likely not a television scam. Well, remember folks, our prices are unbeatable. Hey everyone, welcome out to another Rapid Fire Roundup here on the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee, and today I'm going to be going over several different games here in ascending order of how much I enjoyed them. These are going to be quick thoughts on a lot of games here. It's a fun format that people seem to like. So these are games that either somebody else has reviewed on the channel or aren't getting a review on the channel for one reason or another, or just games that I've been playing recently that I want to get some thoughts on. So I'm going to start, like I said, with the one game that I would call actively bad on this list, the one that I did not enjoy, and that is a game called Ukatoa. This is based off of the role-playing group, Critical Role. I guess they have a story or something about Ukatoa, the dragon that eats boats or something like that. It's a game that has a lot of setup, a lot of pieces that you gotta, you put out individual hexes that represent the ship, and then the dragon comes and eats up all your people. And you move and you switch places with them, and there's a big setup to the game that's just not really, it doesn't have much of a payout. So Ukatoa did not particularly impress me. Didn't really care for that one. Next up on my list, I'm going into games now that I thought were good. These are actually good games, and the first one is Happy City. This is the little game right game. It's like a very much my first Race for the Galaxy type game, or my first little like Tableau engine building type game. It has a really neat little idea to it. I enjoy that it's so stripped down, it's so basic. And now, it's a game that I'm not going to keep coming back to because it's so basic, but it's a game that I feel like has a purpose. It's a game that you could use to introduce people to this style of game who really don't play games. You could play this with kids. The most advanced concept in it is multiplication. You multiply the number of like little green people symbols times the number of pink hearts. And if you want to avoid multiplication, you could play this with kids just by saying, how many matches do you have? You have 4 people and 3 hearts at the end of the game, right? 3 of them match, that's 3 points. Or 5 and 7, right? 5 points. I feel like that would make this game even more approachable than the idea of the multiplication. So that's how we played it with my kid, and it went over pretty well. Like I said, I didn't love it, but it's good. Next up, Destinies Sea of Sand. It pains me to put this in the good category instead of the great category. I love Destinies so much, right? It's such a fun, adventure-y, story-driven kind of game. It's really solid. Sea of Sand is the expansion, 3 more scenarios. The first scenario was really dry sand, haha. It's a little bit long, and I feel like there's more opportunities to cut off other people from completing their destinies, kind of on accident. And I don't know, I didn't really care for that part of it, but by the time I got to the third scenario, it was really fun. It has just a few extra mechanisms with just a few different symbols and stuff, but the app handles everything so well. It's still the same adventure and fun from Destinies, so if you like it, man, I had a hard time getting past that first scenario, but the other 2 were better, and the third one was particularly great. I feel like the third one was on par with the scenarios from the base game, but that's not what I want from an expansion. I would hope that they would be even better. So I hesitantly say, yeah, you'll enjoy it, and maybe just know that maybe play that first scenario solo or 2-player. Maybe 3 players, just a little bit too much of a drag. So a Destiny's Sea of Sand is good. Next up, Super Mega Lucky Box. I am really wild about this game. This game is a roll and write type game, a flip cards over and cross off the number on these cards in front of you. Phil Walker Harding, who many people accuse me of being a fanboy of, And I'm not doing a lot to refute that claim, because I'm really wild about this game. I think Super Mega Lucky Box is Super Mega Lucky fun. It is so simple. It's almost like a simplified version of a game that he published earlier called Silver and Gold, but it strips away some of the things that make that a little bit more gamery and makes this like a really fun game of bingo. For people who have not played a lot of games, or people who like bingo, you could play this with grandma, you could play this with children. I really like this one, so yeah, highly recommend it. Getting into another party game, So Clover. This is a game that I first played it months ago, and I've been anxious to talk about it since then, because we got a copy that was not quite fully ready for review, and then we got the review copy in, and Tom reviewed it. He had a lot of good things to say about it. Brian Drake had a lot of good things to say about it. I've got a lot of good things to say about it. This is one of the most played games at the Dice Tower Retreat. It was played multiple times in a row, over and over and over again. There's a scoring to it, sure, but really it's a word game. It's about arranging words on this Clover board that you have, and trying to make a clue that is a combination of two words that face each of the four different sides of it. It almost sounds like it shouldn't work, but it does, and it's really, really a smart design. I think it's the same publisher as Just One. It has a lot of that same feel, but I like this one more, actually, because I feel like everybody's involved more equally around the table. You can play this for score if you want. You can play it completely casually to fill in the time. Really recommend this one. This one is getting onto the precipice of like the great games. So speaking of great games, Mining Colony. This is a not exciting name for a game, but this is by Steve Finn Games, and this one is small. It's a very small game, but it does a lot with what it has. It has a very interesting kind of turn-based draft of resources from the middle of the table, and then players put them out on their board. You want to put out tiles, different shaped tiles. Cool, I like that. I like the little puzzliness of it. But you want to have certain, colored symbols 2 spaces away from each other, and when you do, you get a little bonus for that. And there's a lot of thinkiness for a really small and fairly quick game. Really recommend Mining Colony. Boring cover, boring name, fantastic game. Don't let the box fool you on that one. Next up is the game of Meadow. Meadow also played a ton at the Dice Tower Retreat. Meadow is an incredibly charming game. It does the nature theme, possibly the best that I've seen nature theme done in a game. I feel like the way that everything builds up and across really makes sense. There's a fun mechanism where it's almost a worker placement, but it's like there's multi-use workers. You can use it to grab cards, a number of spaces into a grid, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Cool, right? Kind of seen that in Quadropolis. But then also you can use that same token, your worker, on a different part of the board, and it becomes a secondary action. And so you have to choose, do you want to use it for the primary or the secondary action? Love that little twist. That's enough to make this a really, really great game. And like I said, the theme, fantastic. Next up is a game called Comic Hunters. This is a game that's only published in Brazil. We haven't done a review of this one because there's not a wide distribution of it, but I wanted to talk about it because it is a really cool game. Only published in Brazil, hard to find basically, because they have the Marvel license only for that country. But this is about collecting Marvel comics, and I feel like this does comic book collecting as a theme really well. There's 4 different types of ways to basically draft cards around the table. There's a straight, pick a card, pass it along, but there's also add cards out to rows, and you keep going until you decide, I'm going to swipe up that whole row, and that's it. And then, other people keep adding them out. There's a really, really fun one where there's a big grid, and you have to pick a whole row or column, and you take all of the Hulk or all of the Doctor Strange from that row or column. You can manipulate the cards a little bit, but the fact that there's 4 different kinds of things going on, then an auction, but the fact there's 4 different things going on means that every one of the 3 rounds, you go through 3 different activities. It's really fun. It's really engaging. I hope that this one is able to get some sort of broader distribution, or you can come to one of the Dice Tower events and play it because it's in our library. Really, really great game. Next up, Kingdomino Origins. This is definitely a great game. This is basically, the basic mode of this is Kingdomino, and then it adds kind of it almost folds in that print and play expansion that came out last year. It has a lot of the elements of that. Adds little resource tiles that you can turn in to get bonus little caveman tiles that you put on there. Cute theme, great game that it's built off of, and I feel like this one's a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more approachable than Queendomino even, and so I appreciate that, because I think Queendomino's good. Does it add a little bit too much for what is basically a very simple framework? This one does Kingdomino really well. Absolutely recommend it. A game that I was able to play at the Dice Tower Retreat that I feel like I should have played before now, but this was nominated or won the Spiel des Jahres, the Micro Macro Crime City. Let me tell you, don't live in the city. It's full of crime. Everywhere. Crime. It's called Crime City. But Micro Macro is an incredibly fun game. It is a fold-out map, just black and white little drawing, little type sketches, and or illustration, and it's so fun. You're given a case, case 2 out of 14, and it kind of tells you to look for something, in the region to look for it, and then you have to find what the clues are around it. It's a very fun little detective-y kind of a game, and the illustrations are so charming, and they're so incredibly well done, where the same character pops up in multiple places. It's not a still frame of a moment in time, but rather you can follow the same person through different moments of time around on the map and kind of see how a story evolves. So fun. Really liked it. We did like 3 or 4 cases in a row at the retreat. It was that much fun. Next up, Furnace. Furnace is a game that's getting a lot of buzz right now. Sold very well at Gen Con. I anticipate it will sell well at Essen as well when we get the information on how that went. But Furnace is a very solid, small but quick and satisfying engine building game. It has a very interesting... People argue the semantics of what to call it. You put out these discs, and they're numbered 1 through 4. The largest disc will win the card, but any smaller discs that you put out there will allow you to activate a one-time bonus on the card. Is it an auction? Is it a bid? Is it worker placement? Whatever the semantics are, I don't care. It's really fun. You build a very satisfying engine. It's really quick. It plays in 4 very fast rounds, but you do a lot in those 4 rounds. I like it. Absolutely recommended. Great game. And last of all, the game that I liked the most, right? Because remember, I started from the game I was least impressed with to the one I was most impressed with. The Crew, Mission Deep Sea. Yes, this is a sequel to The Crew. Yes, it is the exact same formula. Trick-taking game, cooperative, accomplish goals. But the goals are so much better in this one. So much better that they all have really unique twists to them. If you play the original The Crew, Planet 9, whatever the theme was, if you play that one, you know that when you are trying to do, most of the missions are like, hey, you get the blue 6 and you get the pink 4 and I get the green 9, right? But then there's like sprinkled in a couple of really fun missions, like, ooh, you have to win a 7 with a 4. And then everybody has to, this person can't win any tricks. This person can't, those are the mission cards in the new Crew. And so in the same game, this person can't win any pink tricks. This person can't start any tricks with a pink card. I have to win exactly 2 tricks by the end of the game. That person has to win a 9 with a 1 card. And it makes for this amazing puzzle that comes together so well. This one is just objectively better than the previous one. And the previous one was my favorite game of last year. So that says a lot. The Crew, Mission Deep Sea, amazing game. So that's my rapid fire roundup for this, for this little chunk of time. The games that we played recently at the retreat, Gen Con, and those types of games. Look forward to more of these videos. I have a lot of fun doing them. Hope that you enjoy them as well. My name is Chris Yee from the Dice Tower. Have yourselves a great day.